I brimmed with pride as I watched her speak. I'd have to admit, she's one of the only Mizo girls who's made me go all goosebumsy. Her poise, content, and oratory skills were off the charts. This was Candle representing the state of Mizoram at the Nehru Yuva Kendra Sangathan for a national level declamation contest. Being the daughter of one of the best guitarists and performers Mizoram has ever produced, Maitawka of Tribal Power, she gave most of the performance credit to her genes. She published her first collection of writings called Evermore in collaboration with her friend Niji when she was just a college student. And despite all the great things she's achieved, today she chose to talk about her failures. The route that many of us take when we fail is to avoid confrontation, especially with ourselves, to not highlight it, to sulk, to rebel, or to give up. But not her. Failure made her soul search and deal with her defense mechanism. It gave her courage. Most importantly, it helped her find her calling. Welcoming this fine young lady to Candid with Candy from the land of my people, Aizol Mizoram. Ladies and gentlemen, Candle Vanrimpui. And I'm your host, Candy. Do not forget to hit that subscribe button. Good evening, Candle. How are you?
I'm fine, Candy. How are you?
I am good. I'm so excited to see you here. And thank you so much for joining me at Candid with Candy.
Thank you for having me. Woo!
So we'll begin with your name, Candle. How did that come about?
I got my first name from my father, and my father is Maitawka. He was a guitarist, and prior to my birth and even after my birth, he was very fascinated with candles, like literally and even conceptually. I remember he would have big tins and then he would burn candles even though we had electricity and no need for candles. If he had a daughter, he wanted to name his daughter Candle because conceptually he liked the idea of a candle sacrificing itself until it's all burnt out to give light to others. Coincidentally, and as a sign from the universe, when my mother was in labor, it was at midnight or something, and there was no electricity at the hospital as well. So they had burnt candles and candles and candles, like dozens of candles. And when my grandmother arrived, he told her that we burnt candles throughout the night. So I think this is further sign that I should name my daughter Candle. So he named me Candle.
So now you know why she's named Candle. We'll jump right into one of your speeches that went viral, the Power Pact speech that you gave at Nehru Yuva Kendra Sangathan, right? It went viral for the right reasons.
So I was lucky enough to be selected to participate in that youth parliament. Growing up, my father was a guitarist, and he was one of the best guitarists, not to toot my own horn, but he was one of the greatest guitarists in Mizoram. And so he was kind of into the performance arts as well because he performed on stage. And my mother was also a singer. A lot of my family, from when I was a little girl, they always encouraged me to do co-curricular, extracurricular activities. So I've always been very lucky. I think that helped a lot with my general demeanor and the way I carry myself on a public platform. Mm-hmm. And the speech, half the speech is preparation, and a major part of that preparation was writing. I've always loved writing, and I've taken great interest in that, and that mostly stems from my paternal grandmother and her encouragement for me to write, because my paternal grandfather was a man of words, and he he was a writer, and my grandmother was very proud that he was a man of words, and she encouraged me from a young age, especially after my father's death. She encouraged me to translate my emotions into words, and she would encourage me to write songs even though I'm not that musical. And the topic was patriotism and nation building, so I thought long and hard about what that meant to me. Mizos in general tend to, not all of us, but some of us tend to have this feeling like we're not part of India, or we don't want to be part of India, like an antagonistic feeling towards our motherland. So I don't necessarily share that sentiment, because I feel like we belong to India now. It's official, and so we don't need to be against it. So it's just like we have to make the most of it. And even if one day we don't become a part of India, we don't necessarily have to be against it. Even in mainland, it's not that I'm blind to the fact that Mizos get treated like, even northeastern people get treated differently and stuff. I'm not oblivious to that fact, but I just don't want to let it define me as an Indian. Some people might use categories to identify me as somewhat less than Indian, a less than Indian. But I don't feel that way, and I don't think anyone deserves to make me feel that way. So I basically wanted to say that no matter how different I might be to you, I'm still Indian, and I still want the best for this country. And so that was the big concept. I actually used a lot of our lectures from college into that when I wrote that speech. And I think that is one way in which education should really help us. Like I mentioned, like one Mizo proverb,
Right.
"Lung tepo lung pui na kam kilaw, chuan, ding telaw." And that was something I learned way back when I was in high school or something. And I think that's the right way to approach education as well, to actually not just to write it down on paper, but to actually help you form your opinion and to actually enrich your life and yourself in some way, to increase your resources, the resources that you
Absolutely.
have access.
And I love the fact that you said, helping you form opinions, because you made a lot of quotes during that speech. Eloquence was definitely there, but, I'm happy that you talked about how you came about the speech, and, the fact that it's not about, a 14-day preparation, but it's because of how you've been conditioned to think. Not only there was passion, but there was so much of conviction in what you said. What I feel is the preparation takes 80% of the time. And the delivery then is just
Yeah,
20%. Actually, it's 80.
yeah. Yeah, that's correct as well. That could be one way to
Yeah.
look at it. I was very deliberate with everything. It was something I wrote from like word for word. I wrote everything, and I had little to zero help. I couldn't have delivered it the way I delivered it had I not written it myself. And after I finished writing it, I practiced it over and over again.
So beautifully done. And then
Thank you.
after all of that, and of course, this was a competition, right? We're talking about a
Yes.
competition, and this was at a national level. And then the anticlimax, right? You did not win a prize.
Yes, correct.
Did your world come crashing down at that moment?
I wouldn't say it. I wouldn't say my world came crashing down, but although I didn't allow myself to acknowledge that I had this hope, I did have the hope. When the results were announced, I realized that I didn't win. I was kind of bummed out after, because of all the, as you said, because of all the effort I have given and the truthfulness of things. To be quite
It won
honest,
our hearts eventually.
yes, I guess in the grander scheme of things, it did win me something. Yeah, it was a learning moment for me as well. Because even if you do your best, even if you deliver, and even if I perform to the best of my ability, there are always going to be times when that isn't enough. Even I, and I think a lot of people out there, tend to be so hard on ourselves, and we don't cut ourselves slack. I realized that although I might invest everything I have, the outcome is beyond my control, and the outcome might not always reflect our efforts.
Me being dramatic as I am, had I been in your place, I think my first reaction would have been like, I feel down in the dumps and I'm going to die the first 5 minutes. But that's just me because I'm dramatic. And that leads me to, my next question again on, the importance of failure as a part of, one's overall journey and growth in life, right? You've always been at the top. And then you decide one day that, hey, I'm also going to start preparing for my civil services, the Mizoram state civil services exam. And you didn't get through the first time round, so that was another failure moment for you.
Me failing the Mizoram State Civil Service exam was a really good lesson for me personally. Firstly, because I've always used my academics as my defense mechanism to make up for all the things I'm bad at, or to cope with all the things, I'm not
I
good
get
at, or all the things I don't have. It's always been my academic record. I was getting arrogant. Arrogance can take a lot of different forms, and it doesn't necessarily have to be like showy and be like like showing off outwardly, but inwardly I feel I was arrogant. It was just like, if I excel at one thing, then I can excel at this as well. So that was my mindset, and I think that needed to be broken down. So when I failed this examination, I did a lot of thinking, and it led me to the realization that God has given us all individual gifts. I don't think mine coincides with being a 9 to 5 job worker. Yes. Even if it's a white collar job. So that's what I realized. And I realized that it's better to capitalize on the things you are good at. If I try to contribute to society by doing something that I'm not naturally gifted at, that would be relatively less than the contribution I could make by using things that I'm already good at.
Success is still associated with these job titles, right?
Yes.
And hence, many young people feel obligated to become obedient to their parents and their families so that they can make them happy. Like, hey, I become an IAS officer, irrespective of whether I have the talent or not. I'm making everybody else happy, right? So my question to you is, do you think obedience is overrated today?
That's such a thought-provoking and pertinent question, especially in this day and age, and especially amongst us Mizo people. And I think that obedience has many forms. It's two sides of the same coin. It's very good on one hand, but on the other hand, it can be detrimental. Like my obedience was actually an obstacle for me, because to appease my family, I decided to go for the civil service examinations, although it wasn't something I was good at or something I even thought
Your
of
calling.
during. Yes, it
I
wasn't
think,
really my calling.
and hence you
Their
say that,
intentions.
yeah,
Yes.
absolutely, their intentions, and every parent's intention is the best, right? I really wanted to bring this up because it's so important, and this is a relationship we're talking about, family and the person who's involved, right? At no point do either parties want to hurt the other. And see, the end result is the same. You want success, your family wants success, right? But I think sometimes, because of this obedience, like in your case that you said, it becomes an obstacle, and one starts doing stuff to appease the other, and the other one, the other party also does the same thing, and then it's nobody's gain.
Yes.
Right.
In my context, what I can say is I wanted to be obedient, and my family had the best intentions for me at heart. If I may say it in Mizo, "Tungte tuoy tu amal som," in a very godly sense. I felt obligated, and I even felt not obligated, but I felt it was the right thing to do. I can't help but think that there are people like myself who are generally lost. I think we're all lost in our early 20s, who don't yet have a direction. I think what's important is that we do some soul searching, we introspect and pick a career or pick a life that we actually want. And then, even if and go with that 100%, even if other people, whoever they may be against it. A character said that it's better to be at the bottom of a ladder you want to climb than halfway up a ladder you don't want to climb. And I think that rings so true. The older generations still have this image of success in their head that's like infinitely infinitely associated with government jobs. I personally feel that we would do more for our state if we actually do the things that we know we can do the best, instead of just going for that security of the government job. That's why I would like to encourage anyone who believes that they can excel in a certain field to go for it despite anyone's disapproval.
What I'm hearing you say through all of this is there's obedience in your disobedience once you succeed in what your heart desires. I think eventually,
Yes.
The last question, and probably the most important, is I just want to understand, what is your dream?
To continue pursuing my master's degree and the following degrees in linguistics, and perhaps, I don't know, Tibeto-Burman linguistics, but that all depends. And I would definitely want to continue publishing books, better books each time. So I think I would like to be remembered as some kind of pioneer of the intersectionality of language, performance, and art. I also want to be at a place where I can actually be a patron of the arts.
But definitely.
Oh wait, I have another romantic answer. Another romantic answer is, I don't want to be remembered. I want to be missed. I stole. That was plagiarized. That was Chitan Bagat.
Welcoming Candle all the way from Aizawl, Mizoram at Candid with Candy's Rapid Fire. Your favorite musician?
Saint Vincent.
I thought you were going to say your dad.
Oh my God, I'm so sorry. That's so anti.
Do you have a favorite social media influencer?
There's this YouTuber called Madeline De La Rosa, and she's not necessarily an influencer, but she makes these videos, these film videos, and her content, I think I would put at the top.
What's your favorite food?
I'll answer with my favorite fruit first. My favorite fruit is ripe mango.
Are you the Mizo food kind of person?
Yes. I'm the Mizo food. I love like Vok Vun Ball and stuff like that. And Changban and stuff.
What do you do to relax?
I like going on rides without destination.
What's your most favorite place in the world?
My favorite place in the world would be, I think, my room.
Do you have a favorite word?
Yes, I think my favorite word is the word ever.
One learning from the pandemic?
We shouldn't take like socializing for granted.
I'm crazy about
Suki Waterhouse.
Last one, Kolkata is
the go-to place for biryani.
I absolutely loved having you at Candid with Candy. Thank you so much for your time.
Yes, thank you for allowing me to be candid with you.